Points, Ashwini. Thank you so much. That was brilliant articulation. Sumit Peer, your response to what's going on. Registered Waqf properties, up to the tunes of, crores and lakhs and crores of rupees. This is obviously a mismanagement which required a legislation, Sumit, to come in. But the fact of the matter is that, there is discontent amongst the people who have been running the Waqf board and the body for a very, very long time. They say that the legislation is not, equal. It is not fair. It is not just, and it needs to be revisited. And hence, the courts have been directed or appealed to come in. What do you make of this tussle at this point in time? The legislation to begin with, Sumit, was intended to do good, I believe.
Vinny, thank you for having me on your show. It goes without a doubt. Look, this legislation was needed. This was the need of the hour, because I believe your and my rights are equal to anybody of this citizen and this country. You cannot have a religious-based group which supersedes my rights, your rights, and Ashwani Bhai's rights. And Ashwani Bhai has beautifully articulated it from a legal perspective. I can't add more to it. The theory is that what happens to my rights? Why I as a Hindu don't have these rights? Why mutts don't have this power? Why don't I have a Hindu tribunal? एक Hindu tribunal भी बनाओ ना फिर, एक Sikh tribunal भी बनाओ. So why what is this waqf by user? Anybody can declare anybody's profit waqf and you can do it. And how can a non-Muslim, give property to waqf? Waqf is supposed to be Islamic charity by Muslims. So how can non-Muslims also do it? There were a lot of draconian provisions, there were a lot of draconian things which were engineered into the act, which were by the virtue of which the act, the number of properties which were under the control swelled multiple times. What they could not do in last 70 years could do in last 8 or 10 years after the Congress kind of gave those draconian provisions to the Waqf. And with all those things, even I'm not a lawyer, but I have read somewhere, I can tell you, the Waqf had the power to direct a district magistrate and I think a collector or a SP, if they believe this land is theirs and it's encroached by me, well, it is his house, I can, as a Waqf, can direct him the DM and all, ki, bhai, ye khali karao. Why does anybody don't have this these powers? The people who are controlling the Waqfs are these big fat fishes. They have made a lot of money out of it. Now, जो free का माल, free land grabbing and free का माल हजम करने की प्रक्रिया थी. Once that is stopped, obviously they will be irritated. They will not be happy with it. And you are right. Even the lot of properties of Muslims have been also siphoned by Waqf. I mean, they have been kind of taken away by Waqf. And this is how. And if you are talking money, if you are talking properties, it was magnanimous. It was huge. It was beyond imagination. Now, and the most important thing is, Vineet, there has to be a rule-based order. So if you look at the Article 14 or Article 18, my rights have to be equal to anybody else. That is what I care for. And by the virtue of that, I have to tell you again, it is on record. What about that temple and that village in Tamil Nadu, which is 1500 years old, which is claimed to be a Waqf property? 1500 years. Islam is 1400 years. So we know what kind of anomalies were going on. We know it has become a tool for some people to, do a land grab. It was slowly becoming into a land mafia. And it's not by fluke. They had the third or fourth highest land banks in India. I mean, how did this happen? And how did these, after these Congress concessions to them, all these things started, cropping up with them. So whatever the government is doing is fine. The Honorable Supreme Courts can look into the process and procedures of it. But I think the mandate of the Parliament is supreme, which has passed the law, and by Sarva Sammati has passed the law. And that you can look into technicalities, legalities, process theek hai, ye sab theek hai. But beyond that, whatever the Parliament has decided, that is the law. Yes, some people will be irritated, some people will be irritated, some people, because they have lost, these billions of dollars of assets, which they were literally controlling and which they had a capacity of siphoning. So if you take somebody's unquestioned, unlimited powers, and that too they were using for their own benefit and good, of course, they will be irritated. They will be going to the courts. They will hire the most expensive lawyers, and they will make all the huge tamasha, and they will try to make it a religious issue. Waqf is not a mandatory part of Islam. This has to be very amply clear. It is an Islamic charity, but not a part of Islam. So any infringement into Islam and the rights of Muslims and all are political gimmicks which are used to get those sympathies. Haven't Muslims suffered because of Waqf? Yes, they have. There are ample cases and evidences there which they have suffered. Looking at that at a holistic picture, whatever is being done by the government is fair enough. Yeah, they have the right to go to the Supreme Court, but the Honorable Court can only look at the legalities and the nuances and procedures and policies. But I don't think the Honorable Court can go and ask government to overturn that. Well, that is not going to happen in my opinion, but the rest we have to wait and watch. That is my 2 cents on it, Vineet.
All right. Nikhil, would you like to comment on this? This is obviously a